delightful. Ouch. I pulled a muscle in my neck or something. It's been agony like this entire week. And now, ow, shit. And so like today, it feels like it's over here in my arm somehow. It's got like this deep ache in my bones over here on my right. Ugh, it sucks. It's like the old joke. I took a Viagra and it got caught in my throat and I've had a stiff neck for a week. That's pretty funny. Speaking of Viagra, welcome, dear listener, to the Savor the Burn podcast. My name is Jonathan. Across the table from me is Mr. W2. How do you do?
I'm doing well, and you, sir?
I'm doing all right. Looking forward to checking out this Junction 35 Straight Rye whiskey.
Yes.
We already tried the Straight Bourbon whiskey, and with the both of us being a fan of rye whiskeys, I'm really looking forward to trying this one. I'm pretty sure I tried this when we were on vacation in Pigeon Forge a few months ago, whatever, late October in 2023. So
excellent.
But I don't really remember anything else about it because it's just so damn long ago. I have notes that I wrote about it, but I see you have some notes too. So you
well, looking at the bottle, they did it up right with a green label.
Yeah. Green label means rye. Did I? Yeah, I told you. I sent you a message saying that Jennifer grabbed a loaf of bread and it had kind of a green label on it, and I was reading and I was so confused. Like, why is this not rye bread? Like, so yeah. So this podcast has made me very.
It's a whiskey thing.
Yeah, very sensitive to the packaging on all products. So if I see a fucking loaf of bread and it's got green on the label, I'm going to think it's rye.
And why wouldn't you?
Well, because I'm fucking dumb. I don't know. But this whiskey so far is so good, and we don't find ourselves dumber because of it. And so, like I said before, this is the Straight Rye whiskey from Junction 35 out of Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. What else can you tell us about it here?
Well, just like the bourbon, they did not have any age on their website, but per your notes and looking at the back of the bottle, it says aged no less than 2 years, but you said that Willie told us that it was aged 3 years.
Yes, sir.
So we've got that. It comes in at 90 proof as well. It is another straight rye whiskey. And it says here, Junction 35 Straight Rye is a real treat to the taste buds if you like warm notes of baking spice, smoke, and vanilla. This one comes in with a punch of flavor that lingers on the palate and is great in a Manhattan.
Well, you know what rye whiskey isn't great in a Manhattan?
The resulting taste is godly. Amen to that.
Yeah, I wonder why they put that in bold lettering.
Well,
it's godly. Amen to that.
I bolded it because it was just one sentence by itself.
Oh, okay.
But
well, I took it to read it like Sean Connery. The resulting taste is godly. Amen to that. Sure. It smells good, though.
It does. Yeah, there's some caramel. There's some baking spice on the nose. There's something
way different.
It's not.
It's that grassy note. Is it barley?
Maybe it is a grassy note. I was gonna say it's not that ethanol.
Yeah.
That we've smelled on some of the higher proof ones.
It's like it's made out of rye and fucking straight barley.
Yeah,
but that's not
grassy notes with a little bit of a smoke to it.
But that's crazy though that we would smell anything. Well, I you know what? There's a lot of different kinds of rye. That's not just one single rye grain. Kind of like wheat, kind of like apples. You know, there's so many different kinds of a thing, right? And he said that this is 95% rye, 5% malted malt barley, 3-year aged, 90 proof, and they use a mellow rye in this, so it's less bitey and more buttery on the finish. So we haven't gotten into the finish.
Maybe a little bit of a butteriness on the nose. Maybe that's what it is. I'm looking real quick. I thought I saw something on here that talked about the mash bill, but I'm not finding it now.
Well, dude, maybe you're losing your wizard finger touch.
Maybe.
So I'm not wowed by the nose, but I'm
Yeah.
definitely intrigued by the nose.
Intrigued is a good way
It
to
doesn't
put it.
smell like a rye whiskey. It smells like a whiskey, but so it's very distinct. I like it. I like it. What do you say we get some on the palate?
Let's do it.
That's weird. I had a burn on the lips. They didn't show up on the palate. Oh, there it is. Right before the finish came. Mm-hmm. Usually with whiskeys, that's the first thing I notice is the burn. And then second, third, fourth, fifth sip, I'm going to start noticing the different flavors. Mm-hmm. Are you picking up much rye or traditional rye flavor? For me,
Just a little bit.
a traditional rye flavor is going to be real peppery. Like peppercorns, that kind of thing.
This is peppery to me, but I'm not picking up the other aspects of a rye. I'm not picking up on the earthy graininess to it.
It reminds me a little bit of an Irish whiskey, only this has more of a sweetness to it, less apple.
A lot less apple.
I'm not too sure what to say about this. I like it. I just can't tell you why.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can get a little feel of that butteriness, the buttery smooth, especially towards the end. Still some of that stone fruity, and maybe on this one I'm picking up on some tobacco, like dried tobacco leaves.
I can
like
see that.
Like the smell, it tastes like the smell of dried tobacco leaf. Like, have you ever been to a tobacco barn when they're they have one up there in Weston? If you ever get a chance to go up there, we went up there one time. We look up and we saw these tobacco leaves just hanging from the rafters of this barn. And they've got a bunch of little cigar shops up there.
Yes.
Where they hand roll and everything's very artisan and very handmade, very super local stuff. You can't get much more local than a store inside of somebody's house.
Right. And that's what a lot of the shops up there are.
Yeah, they really are. They really are. Weston's a really cool little town.
Whether the owners live in the upper level
like
or
an upper apartment or something.
Or in the back apartment or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Weston's a really cool little town. But with this saying, like with the information that you pulled off of the website, this one comes with a punch of flavor that lingers on the palate and is great in a Manhattan. Yeah,
I can see that.
Maybe they told you it's great in a Manhattan because maybe it just doesn't stand out so well on its own as a neat pour. And even though this is 90,
I feel like it drinks a little bit hotter than a 90 typically should.
I feel like it should be. I feel like this would be better at 100 proof, or maybe even 120 proof. Because this is. I think we're missing out on the more pure version of what this could be. Like it almost tastes like a watered down version of its best self. I'm not mad at it because I do like it. So I mean, now that it's empty, the glass definitely has a different smell to it. Yours isn't empty yet.
Oh no. It is now.
Gulp, gulp, gulp.
And speaking of Manhattan, if you go to their Straight Rye whiskey page, Manhattan is their cocktail.
That's a pretty little
recipe.
cocktail they got there.
Yeah.
What's going on down there at the bottom of the glass? Is that is that like lumps of charcoal or what is?
Oh, I think it's
really
just
see it
sitting
too
on
well
a
from
stone
here.
outside or
Oh, okay.
some rock or something.
Some stupid rocks.
2 ounces of Junction 35 Straight Rye, 1 ounce of sweet vermouth, 2 dashes of bitters, garnish with cherry or a lemon twist if preferred.
Huh.
I like it.
Yeah, that's a really simple cocktail. The Manhattan is. It's almost as simple as a old fashioned. Yeah, but the old fashioned can be as complicated as you want it to be, especially if you're me. For those of you that don't know the story, which will be everybody except Mr. W2, I was busy trying to make old fashions, just something quick, just wanted a little cocktail, whatever.
You want something you didn't have to think about.
I wanted something that I didn't have to think about, but God bless America, did I overthink it? I was my third attempt at a cocktail into it before I was like, what the fuck am I doing wrong? And I'm like, hey man, I sent you a message. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Like, this is what I'm doing. And it's turning out just awful. I think I put too much lemon in it. And you were like, lemon? Excuse me? There's no lemon in an old fashioned. I'm like, what the fuck is he talking about? We always put lemon. We don't know. We never put lemon in there. And I'm like, what the fuck? And you're like, it's super simple. You said bourbon, bitters, ice. I think is what you said. Sweetener. Yeah. Sweetener. Yeah.
Bourbon, sweetener,
bitters, sweetener,
yep.
Whatever. And I'm like, fuck, that makes a lot of sense. And I start looking at my glass. I'm looking back at my phone, looking at my glass, and I'm like, the third time's got to be a charm. So I went in the kitchen and I made a third one. It wasn't the charm. The fourth one was, but the third one was not. I don't know. I don't know what the hell happened.
I think I also recommended a website.
Yeah.
That you can find all this stuff
Yeah,
on.
when you said there's a website, LOL, and my head just fucking dropped. I was like, motherfucker. Had I known that there was a website, I could have just gone to savortheburn.com/cocktails or click that little menu, that little drop-down menu that we have, and just click cocktails.
Yeah.
And it could have been right there.
Or
It was right there.
Or go to the liquor cabinet.
Go to the liquor cabinet.
Pick your spirit of choice.
Spirit of choice. Anything that we've had an old fashioned with to date is on there.
And you'll find a link on that spirit over to the corresponding old fashioned.
Son of a limp biscuit. But I wasn't in the headspace. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I don't know. The wrong day, wrong time, and I overthunk it, and then I was like, fuck, I'm trying to make a Scotch sour out of bourbon and throwing a bunch of shit in it that doesn't belong to make it a Scotch sour. I'm trying to make a bourbon sour, and it does not work. Not with what I'm using anyway. But I think part of the problem was the past, month or so worth of old fashions I was making. I was using a rye whiskey, the Knob Creek Rye. And so it's like, I think it was either 90 or 100 proof. And what I was using was the Jim Beam Black Label, just because I have that giant bottle. And I got to use it up. It's not for the podcast. It's just, there's just so much. I have to use it up. And so I dipped into that one, and I was just fucking it up left and right. There is a website, savortheburn.com. You click on that menu. There's all kinds of stuff there. We got the shop. We got the liquor cabinet where you can find every spirit that we've had to date listed right there. You can click cocktails, and boy howdy, beautiful cocktails. Better than what you can find on the distillers' websites. They're better looking, better presented, and probably taste better, because we do them all Savor the Burn style. What does that mean? Well, I don't know. Go back and listen to our back catalog. And anywhere your podcast app of choice, you're going to find them.
And depending on the cocktail, there's been some times where we were like, I'm just not sure about this.
It really has.
We took it back to the
drawing board.
Mixing table.
Yeah.
And made some alterations, mixed it up again. Mm-hmm. There we go.
Yeah.
Now it's a Savor the Burn cocktail.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes it leaves us so stumped by what the distiller's website says to use for their cocktail recipe. Yeah. When we try it, we like it, but we don't love it. But we've got like 100 ideas of how to make it better. And so I'll pepper you with all these ideas. And that's unfortunately, air quote, unfortunately, that's your homework for the week. So then you take the bottle and you fucking decimate the bottle, just trying to find the right recipe for it. And eventually you do find that recipe, and you let me know all about it.
Yes, sir.
But unfortunately, by the time you get it figured out, the bottle's pretty much empty. But it's research and development. It's for the podcast.
It's for the podcast.
It's for the podcast. That's our mantra. So if you ever see us, walking out of a liquor store with, several $100s worth of bottles tucked under our arms, giving everybody the side eye.
Never happens.
In the parking lot on the way out. Don't look at me like that. Don't you look at me in that tone of voice. We're doing it for the podcast is what's going on. So I need to figure out my scores. It looks like you've already got all yours done.
I do.
I was working on my taster glass while you were doing all your writing. I was like, I don't know what I think about this, because it's not your typical
different.
rye.
It's different.
It's not your typical rye. He said that. No. He said Willie was saying that the Junction 35 rye is very similar to Angel's Envy bourbon or Angel's Envy rye or whatever, and Blanton's, like their mash bill or something. But as far as I know, the Angel's Envy and Blanton's mash bills have corn, and they don't have 95% rye, 5% barley. So I think there was something lost in translation there. He was pretty distracted that night. There was other bartenders coming over asking for like margarita mix or whatever, and he's like, oh yeah, sure, whatever. He had to ring people up. He was dealing with us. One of the other bartenders, for whatever reason, came over behind him with one of those little those poppers, that you get 4th of July with a little confetti poppers. Came up behind with did that behind him, and I'm like, what the fuck are they doing? But whatever. It's probably a sign to be like, hey, look, you're taking too long with these people. Wrap it up and move on. Sell it or move along. Yeah, so the palate kind of wowed me for the wrong reason. I'm not even sure I picked up on any oak on the palate.
While you're there, did you try any their single barrel?
Did not. Yeah, they didn't have that available to us.
Oh, it looks like they've got a single barrel bourbon and a single barrel rye.
God bless America. What's the proofs on those?
100 for the rye, and the bourbon is also 100.
Huh. Well, I may end up finding myself down there again at some point, and so I'll end up dragging home a bunch more bottles. This time, or next time I go down there, I'm going to have a bigger...
Ooh, what about the black cherry whiskey?
Man, okay, so they've been posting a lot on their Instagram about
Caramel
that.
Apple?
But I bet their black cherry whiskey is going to taste like everybody else's black cherry whiskey. So it's going to be... it's going to taste like cough syrup. The black cherry cough syrup?
Well, at 70 proof.
Yeah, that's liqueur strength.
Yeah. At 70 proof, yeah,
probably hate it.
You're gonna get.
That's a mixer.
You're gonna get all. I don't know if it's a mixer.
Yeah, you mix the black cherry with Coke, and you'll have a cherry Coke.
Yep.
With a spiked cherry Coke, or with a Sprite or whatever. Yep.
Or maybe some tonic water or something.
Yeah.
Just call it good. Something to give it a little bit of fizz.
I might just put it on ice. Like I will take these gimmick whiskeys and put those on ice, and kind of break up the syrupiness that some of those have. I do have that honey. The honey was good.
That's also a 70 proof.
Mm-hmm. And it's like Willie said that was his favorite honey whiskey that he's ever had. I found it to be comparable to some of the others, but not bad at all. But that Off the Rails, since it's such a super limited production of those, they didn't have any taste testings of that one. So if you wanted to taste it, you had to buy it. And I did. We're going to get to that on a future episode. Write down a quick little blurb about it real quick. All right. I think I'm ready for the rating. Are you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you were probably ready yesterday. What'd you give it on the nose?
3.5.
Hey, so did I. How about the palate?
3 3/4.
3 3/4.
Mm-hmm.
I gave it 3 1/4.
Okay.
How about the finish?
3.5.
So did I. Bottle presentation?
Kept it at 3.
Kept it at 3. I'm interested to see just what your final score came out to be.
6 7/8.
Same.
6.875.
Yeah. I got the same damn score you did. The same final score.
How about that?
That's fucking wild. And we got there 2 different ways. I thought like immediately when you gave the palate 3.70, 3 3/4, there's no way we're gonna match on this. But then you said finish was 3.5. I'm like, okay, all right.
Turned it around.
Yep. And it's not bad. It's just different.
It is
in
different.
A very unexpected way. And I'm still trying to process what the fuck it was I just drank. Because it says it's a rye whiskey, but it doesn't really drink like a rye whiskey. And maybe that's because they used a, what do they call the rye? A mellow rye. So it's less bitey, and it has more of a buttery finish. So if he was looking to stand
agree
out...
with that.
Yeah, it's definitely less bitey. So if he was looking to stand out from the crowd, he definitely did.
Rye-esque?
The problem is... Right, the problem
Whatever that is.
It turned it into a rye-esque rye whiskey. And was it worth the gamble?
Yeah.
But, I mean, if this is their signature rye, he's got to stick with it. Mm-hmm. Unless he slaps a label on their new formula. But if there's a diehard fan of the Junction 35 rye whiskey, straight rye whiskey, then they're going to be upset.
The single barrel
if he
offering
changes it.
would be interesting.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like I said before, this almost tastes like it's like, even though we haven't had the full strength version. If we had a barrel proof, a barrel strength version of it, I'd be really happy.
Yeah.
But just so we can taste what it was meant to taste like right from the barrel. But we're not privy to that, and I don't even think that's available on their website. And that's fine. That's fine. It's up to them. So I wrote down a very different rye on the palate. You'll find this whiskey to be a great candidate for cocktails. Definitely try it neat first. It's one of the more unique flavors of rye that we've tried to date. Do you have any closing thoughts?
It was interesting.
It was interesting. Do you like it?
I did like it.
You did like it. Because it was interesting?
Yeah. It's not a typical rye.
It's not your typical rye. And it's not...
It still drinks fine.
And it's not a bad thing that it's not your typical rye.
And I think you're right. I think the mellow rye may be the differentiation between this and other ryes.
Mm-hmm. It definitely makes it smoother, especially on the back end of it, because some rye whiskeys will take the paint off the walls.
Yeah,
this will not. It will not. If it does, it's doing it in a very smooth manner. It's wearing sunglasses when it does. So, if you find this interesting and you find yourself down in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, definitely stop by Junction 35 Spirits. They're right there. They're not on the main drag. They're like a few blocks off of it, over in the there's like this big green space. I forgot what they called it, but they had like this tower where you could do bungee jumping and this big super swing thing going on, and it's over there by the Guy Fieri restaurant and that honey store. Remember where you got the Angel's Envy honey? Mm-hmm. They have one of those in that little strip mall kind of thing. But very nice. Junction 35 Spirits is right in there. Definitely go in there, and if Willie is still working there, definitely tell him we sent you, and leave him a tip. Damn it, because he works hard. So thank you for listening to this episode of Savor the Burn on your podcast app of choice. We had a lot of fun putting this one together here live in the Savor the Burn studios. Thank you, Mr. W2, for putting all this together and getting it recorded and mixed and mastered down and posted up and shared everywhere. And if you're not following on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or Twitter X, it's just X now. If you're not following on Twitter, X, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, why? What's the fucking holdup? Just get to it. Follow, subscribe, like, comment, all the things. Do it all. Do it all. And no matter who you are and what you're doing it all with and what you're drinking.
Oh, my.
Who you're drinking with. Never forget, dear listener, to keep on burning.